James Carter knew betrayal had a scent, sharp and faint, like rain before a storm. At 52, he'd learned to trust his instincts, honed by years of reading markets and men. In their sleek Seattle home overlooking Lake Sammamish, he'd been catching that scent for months. It started subtly. Emily, his wife of 15 years, stopped saying we and started saying I. Her weekend girls' trips to Portland or Vancouver began requiring cryptic cash transfers, prepaid cards, and vague explanations. In February, she packed the red suitcase, the one she always chose when something was about to end. James noticed it all. He noticed the long pauses as she stared at her phone, the way her laugh sharpened when she mentioned her new friend Tyler, a 30-something content creator with a penchant for crypto and tattoos. But James didn't confront her. He didn't need to. Above the printer in his home office, tucked behind a dusty Nikon he hadn't touched since 2011, was a worn black folder labeled in Sharpie. Plan B. James wasn't a man who acted on impulse. A finance professor at the University of Washington, he taught seminars on timing, the perfect moment to sell a stock, the inflection point between risk and reward. His colleagues called him the closer for his ability to secure seven-figure endowments from hedge fund alumni, slipping in clauses nobody read until it was too late. That same precision defined his personal life. After his colleague Mark's divorce left him broke and broken, sharing his retirement with a woman who once threw a fit over lukewarm sushi, James started preparing. He didn't expect to need it, but he wasn't naive. The folder began as a precaution, a quiet habit after Mark's cautionary tale. Over the years, it grew into something else, a meticulously curated arsenal. Affidavits, alternate account routing numbers, notarized letters, LLC paperwork, all organized with the care of a doomsday prepper stocking canned goods. The first page held a contact list, 3 names circled in blue ink. Linda, a CPA with a ruthless streak and a disdain for social media. Richard, an estate attorney and retired Marine who thrived on high-stakes disputes. Clara, a private banker who called James the last gentleman in academia and drank gin neat. These weren't just contacts. They were his insurance policy. By March, the signs were unmistakable. Emily's gym visits stretched into late evenings. Her phone buzzed at odd hours, and she'd smirk as she typed, angling the screen away. She started wearing brighter lipstick, the kind that screamed reinvention. James cataloged it all, not out of paranoia but strategy. He'd spent his career teaching that the market always telegraphed its moves if you knew where to look. Emily was no different. One evening, as she packed for another weekend away, James watched her from the kitchen. She hummed, tossing sundresses into the red suitcase, her movements too deliberate, like an actor rehearsing a role. Vegas this time, she said, not meeting his eyes. Spa retreat with the girls. Self-care. James nodded, sipping his coffee. Sounds relaxing, he said, his voice steady. She didn't notice the way his thumb traced the rim of his mug, a habit when he was calculating. That night, alone in his office, James opened the folder. He flipped through the pages, double-checking dates and signatures. Everything was in place. He leaned back in his chair, the city's skyline glinting through the window, and exhaled. He wasn't angry. Anger was for amateurs. He was prepared. The next morning, Emily left before dawn, her Uber vanishing into the misty Seattle streets. James didn't check her location or call. Instead, he emailed Linda, Richard, and Clara, each message identical. Stand by. May need to move soon. Their replies came within minutes, crisp and professional. Linda, ready. Richard, docs prepped. Clara, accounts flagged. James closed his laptop and poured another coffee. Black, no sugar. He stood at the window, watching the lake ripple under the gray sky. Emily thought she was writing the story. She had no idea she was already a character in his. Emily's text hit James's iPad like a guillotine at 1:12 a.m., slicing through the silence of their Seattle home. Met someone younger. Took what's mine. Don't wait up. The words glowed on the screen, cold and deliberate, as if she'd rehearsed them in a mirror. James didn't flinch. He read the message twice, his face unreadable in the dim light. The cruelty wasn't in the words themselves but in their casual finality, as if 15 years of shared Christmases, late-night talks, and gala toasts could be discarded like a bad hand at a Vegas poker table. He set the iPad down, crossed the room, and poured a 2-finger measure of bourbon. The good one, a gift from a former student turned Wall Street hotshot who still called him Professor. The amber liquid caught the light as he swirled it, his mind already 3 steps ahead. He typed back, "Good luck." No period, no emojis, just 2 words as tight as a coiled spring. Then he moved to his office, the city's skyline a faint pulse beyond the window. Above the printer, he retrieved the black folder labeled Plan B. It wasn't dramatic, just practical, a habit born from watching colleagues lose everything to impulsive spouses. He opened it, the pages crisp and methodical, like a ledger of inevitability. By 6:01 a.m., James was on the phone. His first call went to Linda, the CPA who could make numbers confess like sinners. "Initiate the July protocol," he said, voice steady. "Now." She didn't ask questions. "Done," she replied, already pulling files. Next was Richard, the estate attorney, who answered on the first ring. "Understood," Richard said without prompting. "You'll have docs by 9. Finally, Clara, the private banker, picked up on the third ring, her voice raspy with sleep but sharp with loyalty. "James, is it time?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "Freeze everything, brokerage, household, safety nets. Waive the discretion clause." A pause, then a low chuckle. She picked the wrong man to cross. By 6:22 a.m., James's inbox pinged with 2 PDFs. The first, from Richard, authorized an immediate hold on joint marital assets under an emergency audit trigger. The second, from Clara, confirmed the retitling of their Lake Sammamish house into a family trust, backdated 6 months. Perfectly legal, perfectly invisible. Linda's email followed at 6:28, detailing the conversion of joint accounts to audit hold status and the redirection of $200,000 Emily thought she'd taken into a Nevada-domiciled entity Emily couldn't touch. Each move was surgical, a chessboard cleared before the opponent realized the game had started. James sipped his coffee, black and bitter, as the clock ticked to 6:30 a.m. He didn't pace or curse. He dressed, crisp slacks, polished shoes, the dark blue shirt he wore for budget reviews. This wasn't the jilted husband stumbling through heartbreak. This was the closer, the man who'd outmaneuvered hedge fund egos and slipped ironclad clauses into donor contracts. He glanced at Emily's text again, her words now a relic of her overconfidence. She thought she'd landed a checkmate. She didn't know she'd just stepped into a trap years in the making. Across the country, Emily woke in a Bellagio suite, the Vegas sun slicing through half-drawn curtains. Tyler, her new partner in freedom, sprawled across the bed, snoring in board shorts, his arm flung over a pillow. The room smelled of last night's champagne and his overzealous body spray. Emily stretched, her manicured nails catching the light, and checked her phone. No reply from James beyond "good luck." She smirked. Silence meant surrender. She'd moved $200,000 from their joint account, her fair share, she told herself, and wired it to a new account, untouchable, or so she thought. She slipped into a sundress, already picturing mimosas at Sadelle's, avocado toast selfies, and Tyler's lazy grin across the table. The Uber app loaded, but her card declined. She frowned, tried another. Same error. A third. Payment method restricted. Her pulse quickened. She dialed the bank, her voice sharp as she demanded answers. "Ma'am," the agent said, "this account is under review. Only the primary holder, James Carter, can access details." Emily's grip tightened. "I'm his wife," she snapped. A pause. "Secondary user access is suspended," the agent replied. Please contact Mr. Carter. Emily stared at her phone, the app now a mocking banner. Add payment method to continue. Tyler stirred, rubbing his eyes. Everything cool? He mumbled. She forced a laugh, her pageant smile faltering. Just a glitch, she said. James loves his security settings. But her stomach twisted. The scent of betrayal was hers now, and the storm was already here. Emily's world tilted at 9:17 a.m., poolside at the Bellagio, when her phone buzzed with an email that wasn't spam. Legal notification. Urgent. It read, from an address she didn't recognize. Admin at hardcoreprocess.net. She scoffed, assuming it was a phishing scam, but curiosity won. The Vegas sun beat down, glinting off her oversized sunglasses as she tapped the email open. The words hit like a slap. You are being served. Attached. Marital Asset Investigation Notice. Emergency hearing, Wednesday, 9 a.m. court motion for immediate financial disclosure. Screenshot of sent message, 1:12 a.m., March 14th. Reply not required. Legal counsel advised. Case hashtag Carter 2025, div.pet. Her own text. Met someone younger. Took what's mine. Don't wait up. Stared back. Embedded in the legal motion like a trophy. Her thumb froze over the PDF icon. The click felt louder than the poolside chatter. She stood, knocking over a cucumber spritzer, her cabana chair scraping the deck. Everything okay? Her friend Jess called, mid-laugh with their group. Emily's smile was a reflex, tight and brittle. Work stuff, she lied, already weaving through sunburned tourists, barefoot, clutching her heels. Her pulse hammered as she reached the hotel room. Tyler, her 30-something fling, lounged on the bed, half watching a Netflix documentary about crypto scams. Back already? He grinned, oblivious. She slammed the door, ignoring him, and dialed James. Straight to voicemail. Again. And again. The fourth time it rang twice, then cut off. Her next call was to James's sister, Laura. No answer. She tried his university admin, rerouted to a clipped voicemail. Dr. Carter is unavailable. Even the neighbor who'd once dropped off zucchini bread after a storm didn't pick up. Emily's chest tightened. She sat on the bed's edge, scrolling through bank apps. Checking 0. Reconciliation in process. Savings. Access restricted. Her Fun Money account. Refer to case ID hashtag 32F. The phone felt like a live grenade. Tyler sat up, scratching his tattooed chest. Yo, we walking to brunch or what? She glared, her pageant smile gone. Not now, she snapped, dialing the bank again. The same chipper agent answered. Ma'am, due to suspicious activity, we can't disclose details to secondary users. Emily's voice cracked. Suspicious? I transferred my money. The agent's tone stayed firm. The primary holder, James Carter, initiated an audit. Contact him directly. She hung up, her knuckles white. Tyler frowned, sensing the shift. Didn't you say you and your ex were splitting amicably? She forced a laugh, but it sounded hollow. He's overreacting. It's temporary. Tyler tilted his head. Wait, how much did you move? She didn't answer. His silence was worse than judgment, his eyes narrowing as he did the mental math. He didn't know the details, but he knew trouble. Back in Seattle, James sat at his desk, the Lake Sammamish view framed by dawn's gray light. His inbox pinged with updates. Linda confirmed. Joint accounts frozen. $200,000 redirected to Nevada entity. 529 withdrawals processed under education pretext. Richard's email followed. Emergency petition accepted. Court date set. Asset freeze motion filed. Clara called at 7:25 a.m., her voice bright. We moved faster than a Black Friday sale, James. Final count. $2.4 million secured. Her $200,000? Tagged for reconciliation. She'll think it's a glitch. James's jaw tightened. Let her, he said. He wasn't gloating. Gloating was for fools who didn't plan. James had spent years ensuring what's mine wasn't hers. Not on paper, not in court, not even in theory. Every joint account, from their vacation fund to the Helic float, was now locked or siphoned into entities she couldn't touch. Even the equity from his book Advance sat safely in a trust she'd never see. Emily, still in the Bellagio suite, opened her Uber app again, desperate for control. Payment method declined. She stared, then laughed. A sharp, panic sound. Tyler stood, grabbing his phone. I'm hitting the gym, he muttered, already halfway out the door. She didn't stop him. Alone, she scrolled James's Instagram. Blocked. His LinkedIn. Blocked. Her texts bounced back. Message failed. A terrible truth clicked into place. James wasn't hiding. He'd planned this. At 10:03 a.m., another email landed. Updated filing confirmation. Attached was a judicial seal and a motion citing breach of fiduciary duty in marital partnership and misappropriation of joint assets. Respondent's own communication confirms intent. Her text, her smug little text, was now Exhibit A. Emily's hands shook. Wednesday was 2 days away. She needed a lawyer, a plan, anything. But her accounts were empty, her allies silent, and Tyler's absence screamed louder than words. The Vegas dream was over, and the ground beneath her was already crumbling. Emily's hope flickered at 3:42 p.m. in a dimly lit Vegas coffee shop, where she sat across from Tom Gray, a divorce attorney with a reputation for turning losing hands into aces. She'd found him through a frantic Google search, his website promising discreet, aggressive representation. Her sundress was wrinkled, her nails chipped from nervous biting, but her voice held a practiced calm. James can't do this, she said, sliding her phone across the table, the legal email open. He's stealing my life. Tom, a wiry man with a poker player's stare, scanned the email, then the attached motion. His brow furrowed as he flipped through screenshots of her text. Met someone younger. Took what's mine. And bank records showing her $200,000 transfer. He's good, Tom muttered, almost impressed. This isn't a divorce filing. It's a financial guillotine. Emily leaned forward, her voice low. I don't care what it is. Fight it. Drag it out. Make it hurt. Tom raised an eyebrow. That's what he wants you to do. Back in Seattle, James stood in his office, the Lake Sammamish skyline fading into dusk. His phone buzzed with a text from Linda. She hired Gray. He's sniffing around the trust. James didn't reply. He'd anticipated this. Tom Gray was a known quantity, sharp but impulsive, the kind who'd swing hard and miss. James opened his laptop, pulling up a file labeled countermeasures. Inside was a bombshell he'd held for years. Evidence of Emily's consulting side hustle, funneling corporate funds through her Amazon email for personal trips. He'd never used it. Until now. Emily's confidence grew as Tom laid out a plan. We'll countersue, he said, sipping an overpriced latte. Claim coercion, undue financial control. Your text? Emotional distress, not intent. We'll bury him in discovery. She nodded, clinging to the lifeline. Then her phone pinged. An email from her boss at Amazon. Private review. Immediate attendance required. Her stomach dropped. I have to go, she told Tom, already hailing an Uber. At Amazon's Seattle headquarters, Emily walked into a conference room expecting a routine meeting. Instead, she faced Linda from HR and Greg from legal, their faces stone cold. A folder sat on the table, thick with printouts. Her text to Tyler, hotel receipts booked during work hours, and a calendar showing team resource reviews that aligned with her Vegas flights. These suggest misuse of company resources, Linda said, her voice clipped. Greg slid the folder closer. You're on administrative leave, effective immediately, pending investigation. Emily's mouth opened, but no words came. Security escorted her out, her ID badge beeping red at the elevator. On the sidewalk, the Seattle drizzle felt like an accusation. She checked her phone. No texts from James, no replies from Tyler, who'd ghosted after the brunch fiasco. Then, a new email from Tom. Found something? Call me. Her heart raced as she dialed. What is it? She asked, voice trembling. Tom's tone was grim. James has a mole. Your friend Jess? She's been feeding him your texts for months. She's on his payroll. The betrayal stung sharper than James's silence. Jess, her confidant, the one who cheered her new life over mimosas, had sold her out. Emily's mind raced back to poolside. Jess's two casual questions about her plans. She'd been played. Tom continued. Worse, James documented your Amazon side gigs. He sent them to HR. That's why you're out. Emily sank onto a bench, the city blurring. He can't prove that, she whispered. Tom sighed. He's got emails, timestamps, even your VPN logs. He's been waiting for this. In his office, James sipped black coffee, reviewing Richard's latest filing. Motion to cite respondent for breach of marital fiduciary duty, supported by third-party testimony. Jess's name was listed as a witness, her texts with Emily attached as exhibits. Clara called, her voice gleeful. Her corporate accounts locked. No severance, no stock options. She's radioactive now. James didn't smile. Keep it clean, he said. No loose ends. Emily returned to her hotel, the Bellagio's glitz now a mocking backdrop. She tried James again, blocked. She texted Jess, her fingers shaking. How could you? No reply, just a notification. User has blocked you. Alone. She opened the legal PDF again, her text glaring like a confession. The hearing was tomorrow. She had no money, no job, no allies. Tyler's gym bag was gone, his keycard left on the nightstand next to a half-empty Red Bull. At 8:10 p.m., another email arrived. Updated asset hold confirmation. The lake house, their vacation fund, even her emergency credit card. All locked in James's trust. She stared at the screen, her breath shallow. James wasn't reacting. He was dismantling her piece by piece, and she'd handed him the blueprint with one text at 1:12 a.m. Part 5, The Moral Reckoning. Emily stood in the Seattle courtroom at 9:03 a.m., her blazer ironed stiff, her eyes softened for the judge's benefit. She'd practiced this look, strategic remorse, the kind that sways juries. But there was no jury, just a judge with wire-rimmed glasses and a stack of binders thick enough to bury her. James sat across the room, his face as unreadable as the lake at dawn. The hearing began with cold formalities, the bailiff's voice echoing off the fluorescent-lit walls. Emily's attorney, Tom Gray, leaned close, whispering, "They're pushing for tempo. Stay calm." She nodded, but her stomach churned. She'd spent the last 48 hours scrambling, borrowing cash from a cousin, renting a cramped condo after James's trust evicted her from their home. Her Vegas glow was gone, replaced by streaks of peeling spray tan and sleepless shadows. James's lawyer, Richard, rose, his voice like a blade. He presented the evidence with surgical precision. The postnuptial agreement, signed by Emily 2 years ago, buried in healthcare proxy updates. Bank records of her $200,000 transfer. Her text at 1:12 a.m., now infamous, met someone younger. Took what's mine. Screenshots followed. Emily's texts to Tyler calling James, predictable. Emails booking Vegas suites during Amazon work hours. And Jess's testimony confirming Emily's intent to start over. The final blow was an HR report from Amazon, detailing her misuse of corporate funds. The judge read aloud, "Planning my freedom trip. He'll never notice." Text message, March 14th, 1:14 a.m. Emily's breath caught. She glanced at Tom, who shifted, defeated. The judge peered over his glasses. "Ms. Carter, do you dispute these communications?" Her mouth opened, then closed. Tom's objection, inflammatory tone, was denied with a flick of the judge's pen. The binders kept coming. Financial transfers into James's Nevada trust, backdated legally. Affidavits from Linda and Clara confirming audit triggers. Even Ring camera footage of Emily mocking James to Jess on their porch. James hadn't spoken all morning, hadn't even looked at her. The judge turned to him. "Mr. Carter, do you wish to address the court?" James stood, straightened his cuffs, and cleared his throat. Without malice or satisfaction, he said, his voice steady. "I noticed." He sat, his words a quiet epitaph for their marriage. Emily's nails dug into her palms. He'd seen her, truly seen her, for years, and now he was done. The judge signed the motion. Preliminary division of assets granted. 90% to Mr. Carter, 10% held in escrow pending further disclosure. Court adjourned. Tom rubbed his temples, sliding Emily a water bottle she ignored. She stared at James, willing him to meet her eyes. He didn't. He gathered his papers and left, his footsteps silent against the courtroom's hum. 2 days later, a cream-colored envelope arrived at Emily's condo, delivered by hand to the stoop. Her name was written in James's precise script. No address, no honorific. She stared at it, her yogurt container forgotten on the counter. Inside was the final blow. A court-approved division sheet, itemizing everything. Lake house, accounts, even the espresso machine she'd bought with fun money. A legal letter nullified her medical proxy and emergency access. A notarized summary outlined her $200,000 transfer as fraudulent conveyance under state law. At the bottom, a small card, unlined, like the ones James used for lunch notes in their early years. In his handwriting, "I didn't stop you. I let you go too far." The card slipped from her fingers, landing beside her phone. She tried his number. Call cannot be completed. Instagram, LinkedIn, email blocked, archived, erased. James hadn't just won. He'd vanished. Across town, in a condo with a marina view he'd never mentioned, James opened a Cabernet saved for a moment he hadn't named. He didn't toast or smile. He logged out of the last joint account, closed his laptop, and booked a one-way flight to Florence, first class. The next day, he wired $500,000 to a University of Washington scholarship fund for low-income students. The press release called him a quiet philanthropist. He didn't read it. Emily, in her rented condo, stared at a job application for an admin role, her resume stripped of Amazon's prestige. Her phone stayed silent. No texts from Jess. No apologies from Tyler. No pity from the neighbors who'd seen her drenched on the porch. She opened a news app and froze. A headline, "Local professor funds future scholars." James's face, calm and distant, stared back. For the first time, she saw what he'd become without her. A man who didn't need revenge, only freedom. She closed the app, her reflection dim in the screen. The lesson wasn't in the money or the house. It was in the silence. Emily had gambled on control and lost everything to a man who'd mastered timing. She typed a note in her phone. Start over. Be better. It wasn't redemption, not yet. But it was a beginning.